When I work with clients who are coming to me for an email campaign or an email marketing strategy, there are three things that I make sure that I get from them before we start. So one, I need to understand what is their end goal. Two, I want to understand whether or not they are committed to the project just as much as I am. And then three, I need to make sure that customer understands that this is not a quick fix. In some cases, there is trial and error that occur. In other cases, things go much smoother. But at any rate, this is not a quick fix nor a solution that may see results as fast as they would like. So there is some patience involved. I want to show you one of the email campaigns, or shouldn't say campaigns, one of the email strategies that I created for a client that I currently work for. This client provides Facebook ad marketing services to chiropractors and plastic surgeons. With his current business, or before we started working together, he was getting new clients via referrals, but he wanted to actually use other avenues in order to gain clients. So he decided first to go the cold email route. And so with that, I had to take that data that he had and figure out a way to weed out those doctors or those practices that did not want to hear from him, from those who did want to hear from him or was entertaining any content that he put out. So the very first email in our strategy, I placed a headline on it so that whomever saw it understood exactly what it is that we were offering, and that headline was "Want More Leads." So from there, we could definitely segment out those who were not engaging with our emails into this flow and those who were into this flow. With the two separate flows, what you can definitely see is that at the end of this flow, if we have someone that continues not to engage, we then take them off of the email list. For those who did engage with us, they went through this flow, and at the end, we re-tag them. Some of those subscribers actually booked a consult, but then others who did not went on to be re-tagged as high engagers. And along the way, there were some of the subscribers who crossed paths and could possibly end up on this list of lower subscribers. We initially started out with Mailchimp because it's one of the easiest autoresponders to actually get started with. But as I created this more involved and complicated process, Mailchimp could not handle it, so we had to switch over to ActiveCampaign. I'm going to show you some of the results that we did get in Mailchimp. So this is the initial email that we sent, and the results for it in terms of open rate was as low as 10% and as high as 32%. So usually for a cold email, the average open rate, or the range documented open rate, is in between 5 to 12%. And we were getting fairly high responses. Every now and then they were low or average, but for the most part we were getting high responses. And so I'm going to move here. This is where we started getting really into the where we started understanding the data better with these emails here, because initially I was taking the raw list that the client was giving me and then just feeding it through the emails campaigns that I had, manually feeding them through. And from the responses that I was getting from the doctors who were unsubscribing or tagging us as spam, I used them as the model for cleaning the data. So once I did that, we started constantly getting open rates within the 20s. For the flow, the part of the automation or the flow where we have people who are not engaging or non-engagers, our open rates were a little bit lower, and I expected that, but the range of it was really broad. So we got into the single digits and even sometimes into higher digits. But I didn't expect these open rates to be as high as those who were on the path of the more engaging doctors. And so these are the open rates for those doctors. And as you can see, we were in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, even 80s. At one point, we did actually get 100% open rate on some of these. So we did really well with that and segmenting out those doctors in order to get them onto our final list that we then moved to a different automation where we started to feed them more data. And as I said before, I did move my client over to ActiveCampaign, and I will show you that same flow that the initial flow that I showed you in that graphic. And with that, I was able to do two things. One, I was able to actually score each contact. In other words, if they perform a certain action, so if they opened an email or if they clicked a link, then I assigned them a certain number of points. And so you can see that here, this green block, I added points to those who opened a specific email. And then down the line, I then use those total number of points to add high engagers to a Facebook custom audience. And so that's here. So if they got a score greater than or equal to 8, then I added them to this custom audience in Facebook so that my client could then take that and run Facebook ads to those doctors as well. And so this is the flow itself in ActiveCampaign, and as you can see, it is just as involved as the flow chart that I showed you. But like I said before, because Mailchimp wasn't as robust as our ActiveCampaign, I did move my client over so that I wouldn't have to manually assign and reassign tags to customers. So through all of this, what I want to state is that it's very important that you understand exactly what it is that you want from your email marketing campaign, that you are committed to growing your business just as well as the person who's providing the service, and that thirdly, there's some patience involved because, like I said, this does not happen overnight. Sure, you will get some very high open rates, but in some cases, it does take a little bit of time. So I just wanted to show you what I can do in terms of planning out a strategy and developing that particular strategy within an autoresponder platform. Let me know if you have any questions, and hopefully this has helped.